We're reading Ruby the Copycat. What? Make sure you subscribe and be our friend. Thank you for generation donations to PayPal, petcarebuddies@gmail.com. So Monday was Ruby's first day in Mrs. Hart's class. Class, this is Ruby, announced Miss Hart. Ruby, you may use the empty desk behind Angela. Angela's a girl with a pretty red bow in her hair. Angela smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Angela's bow and tiptoed to her seat. I hope everyone has had a pleasant weekend, she said. What? Oh, pleasant weekend? Sure, yeah. said Miss Hart. Does anyone have something to share? Said Miss Hart, the teacher, to the class. Oh, let's see. I do. I was a flower girl at my sister's wedding, said Angela. Oh, that's so exciting, said Mrs. Hart. And then Ruby raised her hand halfway. Oh, I was a flower girl at my sister's wedding, too. I was a flower girl, too, at my sister's wedding, Ruby said. Wow, what a coincidence, said Mrs. Hart. Angela turned around and smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Angela. Class, please take out your reading books, said Miss Hart. Take out your reading books. And so everyone studied until lunchtime. And at lunchtime, ding, 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 lunchtime, Ruby hopped all the way home on one foot. Hop, 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 1 foot. When Ruby came back to school, she was wearing a red bow in her hair. She slid into her seat behind Angela. I like your bow, whispered Angela. I like yours too, whispered Ruby. Class, please take out your math book, said Mrs. Hart. We're going to read some math, and I want everyone to do some math. And then on Tuesday morning, Angela wore a sweater with daisies on it. And, I like your daisy sweater. Thank you, said Angela. At lunchtime, Ruby hopped home sideways. And then she hopped back, and she was wearing a sweater with daisies, too. When Ruby came back to school after lunch, she was wearing a sweater with daisies on it, just like Angela's. And Angela said, I like your sweater, Ruby. And Ruby said, I like yours, too, said Ruby. So on Wednesday, Angela wore a half-painted t-shirt with matching sneakers with little rainbow stripes on them. And after lunch, Ruby hopped back to school wearing a hand-painted t-shirt with matching sneakers that had rainbows on them, too. Why are you sitting like that, whispered Angela. Wet paint, said Ruby. She painted her shoes to look like Angela's shoes. She's a copycat. She's copying Angela, Ruby. And on Thursday morning, during shearing class time, Angela modeled the flowers girl's dress she wore at her sister's wedding. Oh, wow, your dress is so pretty, said the class. Yeah, Ruby modeled her flower dress, too, right after lunch. Angela didn't whisper anything. Here's my flower dress, said Ruby. Here's my flower dress, said Angela. And then they were the same. By coincidence, on Friday morning, both girls wore red and lavender striped dresses. Hey, those girls are wearing the same dresses. Ruby and Angela were wearing the same exact dress. At lunchtime, Angela raced home. When Angela came back to school, she was wearing black. Oh, Angela changed her dress during lunchtime to not look like Ruby. Oh, yeah, what's going on? On Friday afternoon, Miss Hart asked everyone to write a short poem. Who would like to read first? Asked Mrs. Hart. Angela raised her hand. She stood by her desk and read. Oh, I'd like to read. Okay, Angela, read your poem. Okay, so this is my poem. I had a cat I could not see because it stayed in back of me. It was a very loyal pet. It's sad we never really met. Oh, that's very good, said Mrs. Hart. Now, who wants to read a poem next? Miss Hart looked around the room, and Ruby raised her hand. Hi, I want to read a poem. I want to read a poem. Oh, me. Mrs. Hart called on Ruby to read next. Ruby stood and recited slowly, and she read, I had a nice pet who I never met because it always stayed behind me, and I'm sure it was a cat too. And then Angela and the teacher said, what? Ruby smiled at the back of Angela's head. Someone whispered. Ruby sat down. What a coincidence. Same story. Murmured Miss Hart. Yeah, that's the exact same story that Angela read. Angela scribbled something on a piece of paper. She passed it to Ruby. The note said, you copied me. I'm telling Mrs. Hart. P.S. I do not like your hair that way. Uh-oh. Now she's mad because she said the exact same thing that she wrote. She copied her. Ruby buried her chin in the collar of her blouse. A big tear rolled down her nose and plopped into the note. Oh. When the bell rang, Mrs. Hart sent everyone home except Ruby. Ruby, I'd like to talk to you, said Mrs. Hart. Yeah, said Ruby. Miss Hart closed the schoolroom and sat on the edge of Ruby's desk. Ruby, dear, she said gently, you don't need to copy everything Angela does. You can be anything you want to be, but be Ruby first. I like Ruby. Miss Hart smiled at Ruby. Ruby smiled at Miss Hart's beautiful polished fingernails. Oh, really? I can be anything I want to be? I don't have to be Angela? No, you don't have to be Angela because you, Ruby, I like Ruby first. Put me first? Have a nice weekend, said Miss Hart. Have a nice weekend, said Ruby. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So on Monday morning, Miss Hart said, I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend. I did. I went to the opera. Miss Hart looked around the room. Does anyone have something to share? Ruby waved her hand back and forth. I do. Glued to every finger was a pink plastic fingernail. Oh my gosh, she copied Mrs. Hart's fingernail. I went to the opera too, said Ruby. She did not, whispered Angela. Miss Hart folded her hands and looked very serious. Oh, is Ruby copying her teacher now and not Angela? Oh, no. Ruby, dear, said Miss Hart gently, did you do anything else this weekend? Ruby peeled off a fingernail. I hopped, said Ruby. The class giggled. Ruby's ear turned red. Oh, but I did. I hopped around the picnic table 10 times. Ruby looked around the room. Watch, I can hop. And the class was like, what? She's copying the teacher now after she copied the student Angela. But now she's doing her own thing, hopping around. Hop, 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 hop. Look, on one foot. Ruby sprang from her desk. She hopped forward. Look at me. Hop, hop, hop. She hopped backward. She hopped forward. She hopped sideways. She hopped on one foot. She hopped sideways with both eyes shut. Hopping is her thing. Maybe she's going to be a great dancer. So, you know what the teacher did? The class cheered and clapped their hands to the beat of Ruby's feet. Ruby was the best hopper they've ever seen. Miss Hart turned on the tape player and said, follow the leader, do the Ruby hop. Yay! Let's play. Follow the leader and do the Ruby hop. Sure, the class was all having fun. The music turned on and they did the hop, hop, hop. Do the hop, hop, hop. We're hopping all about and we're going to hop all day. So Ruby led the class around the room while everyone copied her. We're copying Ruby. Hey, everyone's copying me, said Ruby.